Hey everybody, how you all doing? Nice to see ya. Co's here. Even when he's away, that's commitment. I love it. Week 5, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Vegas, so I could be doing other better things than worrying about fantasy football. But you guys got me, so I'm here.
Love it,
And
man.
I apologize if there's an echo. I don't have my usual microphone, but we're going to roll with it.
All good, all good.
First up, we have BC Lions 2-2 versus Templars 0-4, and the headline is joke. And the answer is probably, maybe, hopefully. I mean, it depends on what BC Lions we get here. I mean, that both could be a joke this week, and it could be a battle of the two worst teams, or BC Lions, as he should win this game. And I'm going to stick with that as my projection.
Yeah, I originally had BC Lions too, and the reason why the headline's joke is just because, honestly, I think Robert and Templars is a joke. And one thing I said is I'm honest, and I might have sounded like a dick the way I was treating Robert this week, but the reality is that was just an awful trade, and I just think the LOC owners deserve better, right? And Robert's been in this league for a long time, so I love the guy, and maybe he just like the knowledge just hasn't been there this year. I don't know, because he was good before, but when I look at the roster, obviously getting that trade, Tyson Williams, I think is pretty much going to do nothing for him moving forward. I can't see him getting much playing time. And I think this is really just going to be an easy win for BC Lions just because he does have Diggs, he does have Metcalf. Connor's getting all the goal line carries in Arizona and getting all the touchdowns, and Edmonds isn't. So, and then of course there's Brady there as well. So I'm definitely going BC Lions here, and that was my original pick.
Agreed. Next up, we have Billsy Bob 0-4 versus Sohinho. That's 2-2. Yeah, I mean, is he really in a danger of another lost season? I mean, going 0-4, I mean, if you don't win any more games or any games, I guess that puts you in a loser bracket, and you always have the chance of your opponent outscoring or having an amazing game that week. You may fall. So the goal should not be in the loser bracket. And 0-4, you're not trying to make some moves. Any moves? I mean, nobody's really selling right now, but you haven't reached out to me, so I just assume you aren't trying to, get some players here because you should be reaching out to everybody, not if you're 0-4.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think when I'm looking at it right now, if I was one of the teams in danger of being in the loser bracket, I think I just stare at Robert and Templar's team and I ask myself, as long as I feel my roster is good enough to beat Robert and Templars, and it's not going to take much, then you can trade the surplus, right? Like maybe it's IDPs, there's definitely an opportunity to rebuild for next year if that's the case, or, maybe you are trying to survive. I think Billsy Bob's has just had bad luck this year, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, He's got Alvin Kamara, he's got Austin Eckler. These guys can put up points. I think, flip-flopping between Goff and Matt Ryan is obviously a disaster. And for Sohinho, his team runs through his two receivers. Tyreek Hill, 50 last week. And then you also throw in DeAndre Hopkins. So now he's got Heineke as a starter, which is kind of interesting. I originally had Sohinho to win this one. I'm sticking with it. I see Billsy Bob's going on 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's all valid points, except when you look at Billsy Bob's points for, he's 798. You look at Templar's points for, he's 759. That's only, 39 points difference. And who the hell knows what IDPs, well, somebody might do an interception and you're going to get points that way. So that 35-point gap, I mean, it's going to increase, but it's not going to increase that much, honestly. And you don't want to be, to me, you don't want to be anywhere near, close to Templars, honestly, if you think he's going to fall. With that said, I mean, I originally had Billsy Bob winning this. I am going to change my pick to Sohinho. Next up, you have the 12th man versus the 6th. They're both 1-3. The 12th man has the worst points for. The week before his win, he scored like 180 points, and then the week that he won, he scored 240 points. But his point total is literally the worst in the league at 751, which is 8 points less than Templars. So his 1 week literally is over a quarter of his, his picks of his points for. So I mean, people say they're the cursed team, but I guess I am the cursed team because of the 12th man.
He lone win for 12th man versus you, so that's kind of an embarrassment. And he has dominated you throughout, obviously, the whole history of the LOC. And Milan the 6. I mean, here's a guy, again, original owner. The only real trophy he has in the room is one divisional title way back when he was Toronto Turnarounds. So someone might be able to save their season here. I originally had Milan winning this one. I'm going to stick with Milan. The reason being Brian and the 12th man, Big Ben. I dropped him in Dynasty. Guy's a fucking bum. It's time to move on. And then with Milan, I mean, he's got Justin Fields now, and he's been named the clear-cut starter moving forward here in Chicago as of today. So Zeke obviously had a much better game. Miles Sanders is exactly who we predicted and who we thought he was. He's only putting up 8 points a game. That's not what you would expect from an RB1 from Brian. And I think that's going to be a big part of the difference. And hopefully the 6 can get A.J. Brown, T. Higgins back. A lot of questionables. That's going to play a factor. I know Jamison Crowder just came back too, but I think Milan in the 6s is a lineup is stronger, and he's going to get the W.
I agree with you. I originally also had Milan winning this game. I don't see how the 12th man can win this. Honestly, just looking at his team, you got Big Ben your quarterback. I'd rather start no quarterback than play Big Ben, honestly. I mean, he does have Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. They're going to get him some points. But as you said, everybody gave me a hard time about drafting Gainwell. But let's be honest, Gainwell gets all the points versus Sanders over there. The 12th man is definitely going to lose this one. Next up, we have Horror Business 3-1 versus Sabbatical Spartans 2-2. And I think this is a must-win for anybody who's 2-2 plays in a division where there's a 3-1 team, 4-0 team. To keep pace, you have to win. I mean, you can come back later, but you need to keep pace somehow. And I feel like this is a must-win for Sabbatical Spartans.
Yeah, I also feel it's a must-win for me, to be honest, because my schedule gets a lot tougher, right? I still have BC Lions to play. I still have the Architect to play. There's still a fair amount of teams there that I still have to play that, are going to definitely be problems. So, and when I look at this game, I had originally predicted in my original predictions, me starting the year 5-0, obviously Deuce Bombers threw a wrench into that. I'm going to stick with my prediction that I'm going to beat Sabbatical Spartans here, just based on the fact when I look at his running game, Philip Lindsay put up, I think 0.3 last week. Chris Carson, who I don't think is going to be going on Thursday, so you could take him out of the equation. And then some guy by the name of Keith Smith in Atlanta. And I think that's going to be a serious problem for Sabbatical Spartans. I don't know where the wheels have fallen off here for Sabbatical Spartans, but it really has. Damian Harris, I noticed his role has been getting reduced in New England. I just don't think it looks good at all for Sabbatical Spartans on the offensive side of the ball. And I think Josh Allen in Kansas City against Mahomes Sunday night, that's going to be a shootout, a big game from Josh Allen, win for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have Sabbatical Spartans going 0-5. Obviously, he is 2-2. So my projection there is completely wrong. Well, I guess I was half right so far. But yeah, I definitely have you winning. Jalen Hurts playing Carolina. It really comes down to what Carolina defense comes back. Is it going to be Carolina of 2 weeks ago, or is it going to be Carolina against Dak Prescott, which looked like crap? But as you said, looking at the running back room, Mike Davis, he's definitely, to me, not the clear-cut number one there, even though he did score a touchdown last week. 2 weeks ago, he got 50 points. Chase Edmonds is the real deal, but, I mean, he's going to put up points, but he's not getting the touchdowns that, Connor is stealing from him week after week after week. I think it's the second week in a row that Connor scored 2 touchdowns inside the 10-yard line. And you got Chubb. And, looking at the wide receivers, I have said your wide receivers are trash. Khalif Raymond is he's there. He's actually putting up more points. He is touchdown dependent, though, because he had 2 touchdowns last week. And he got you 20 points, so that's 14 points right there for you. But, these are your points. I don't see how you don't win this game, and I will be extremely shocked if you lost. Next up is True North 2-2 versus Optimus Prime 2-2. Can Prime make a major statement here? I mean, yeah, if you win, beat True North, you be the original owner and a good owner, you're definitely going to make a statement no matter what.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for Aldemus Prime to really make that statement. And, he is kind of getting Chris at an opportune time here with obviously C-Mac on the mend. We'll have to see if Joe Mixon is going to play. And guess who has Joe Mixon's direct backup? Aldemus Prime, Samaji Perine is in his running back hole. So if Joe Mixon can't go, immediate advantage for his competitor in Aldemus Prime. He's also got Devontae Adams. My pick at the beginning of the year, you can ask my brother this. I said Green Bay was going to win the Super Bowl. I'm still going to stick with that prediction. And for True North, he does have Rodgers, but Adams kind of cancels out Rodgers for True North because let's face it, most of those passing touchdowns are going to go to Devontae Adams. So I originally had True North to win this one. I don't know if you could call this a shocker of the week, but I am going to predict that Aldemus Prime does make the major statement. Again, Kyler Murray, absolute steal in the trade in the offseason there. Guy could be fantasy player of the year and could be NFL MVP.
No, I agree with you there. Kyler Murray, he's kind of come back down there. I mean, the first 2 weeks he put up 40 points, 41 and then 40.8 points. Last 2 weeks he's at 21 and 26. He's come back to earth a little bit. He is going to play San Fran. I think they have a better defense than the Jags and Minnesota and to me and the Titans. So I think he's going to stay sticking at 20 range. But honestly, I mean, Mixon was on the sideline riding the bike. I don't think he's going to be out. Sonny Michel. Pollard, to me, is actually playing the G-man. I think he's going to run the ball a lot. I think he's going to hit, somewhere in that 75 to 100 all-purpose yards. Might get a touchdown or two. I originally had Aldemus Prime going 2-3, start the first 5 games, and I am going to stick with that because I had True North winning this game. That's what I'm going to go with. Next up, you have Fighting Geese 1-3 versus Fallen Misfits 2-2. Will she sell? Will she lose? Well, to me, can you sell? Can you make the ability to sell? I know what my record is. I don't know what the actual numbers of my record against Susie is, but I always just pick Susie to beat me because she always does every frigging game. Even if her entire team was on a bye, she would find a way to beat me. I'm picking Susie's. It doesn't matter what the teams are. She's going to beat me.
Yeah, if you give me a sec, I'll actually look up what the career win-loss is between you and Susie right now. So it looks like it's Susie's 5-2. So you have won a couple times versus her. So, but it is kind of it has been a dominant performance for the most part. I mean, for you, I noticed you got Trey Lance in the starting hole. So we'll see if he actually starts. And if he does he make a lot of rookie mistakes is really kind of what we have to look at in that one. On Susie's side, she's got a game breaker and Justin Jefferson. I noticed, Tris and True North got Ricky Seals-Jones. Obviously, Susie knew that Logan Thomas was hurt, but she has 4 good tight ends, so she didn't really need to add Ricky Seals-Jones. So that's why she didn't add him. I think when I look at it here, it's a critical game, I think, for both. Obviously, way more for Susie, but I think if she does lose, like if you look at her roster, it's way better than Templars. Like she could sell 2 wide receivers for sure to teams that I know that would be calling, and I would be one of those teams calling. But obviously, with the wife, I got to be careful on that trade. But I think I had Susie originally to win this one, and I hate to say it, I'm going to stick with it because your team is very Philadelphia Eagle dependent, and if they have a bad week, you're in trouble.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there, and I can't argue against that. Next up, speaking of Philadelphia Eagles, we got Green Lightning 1-3 versus 2, good for a name, and 3-1. And should he make a mistake trading Williams? What do you think?
I think he did. I mean, why? Yeah, I mean, he did get the 5th, so that's smart for the future, and I give him a lot of credit actually in making that trade. And I'm actually going to give Shitty a lot of credit right now, and the way he's performed this year. I predicted him, I think, to go 1-12, and clearly he's making me look like a fool with that prediction. But he could have had a starting RB1, Damian Williams, for 5 weeks, getting that kind of production. Instead, he gives it to Bare Naked Ladies for a 5th. And why I think it was a mistake is because he lost DJ Shark for the year to a gruesome ankle injury. And now you have to replace that point production. And who are you going to replace it with? And now you're playing a desperate team. And Lucas, who, again, I feel has just had bad luck a lot like Billsy Bob's. I think his team is better than really what it truly is to some degree. But, I think the big weaknesses for Lucas is just some of his guys, especially on the IDP side, really look like they haven't performed. JJ Watt, that guy's done jack and shit this year. But he does have Herbert on the one side. I originally had Lucas winning this one, and I'm actually going to stick with it just because I think Cordero Patterson's, he can't continue to go on that clip, even though he's playing the Jets. I actually think Mike Davis is going to get a couple of touchdowns instead of Cordero Patterson this week.
I mean, that's definitely a valid point there. Also, to me, another valid point is George Kittle. He is playing with Trey Lance. Trey Lance is going to check down a lot to George Kittle. Maybe Kittle, gets 50 yards, but he also might catch 10 passes to get to that 50 yards. And then, Le'Veon Bell, he's on a bye. He's on a practice squad. He's definitely going to come back and play this week. He only got 11 yards last week rushing, but I think he's definitely going to come back, and he's definitely going to run the ball coming back. But I originally had Green Lightning going 2-3. He was 1-3, and this is actually a game I did pick him to win. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with Green Lightning here. Next up, we got Deuce Bombers, who's 4-0 versus Canadian guy 3-1. And honestly, I'm just going to put it out there. If you think Deuce Bombers would be the favorite to win, my shocker of the week would be Canadian guy's going to win here. But to me, it's not really a shocker. I think Canadian guy just has a better team, and Deuce Bombers just gets lucky every week. Somebody, his IDPs get touchdowns randomly, or his quarterback goes off, so he gets lucky every week, and that's how he wins. And I think the luck's over. I think Canadian guy wins here.
Well, I mean, the reality is, it's like I said from the get-go, Deuce is the class of the American, and right now he is. He's one of the only 2 undefeated teams. And, I liked what he did in the draft. That's why I picked him to go 8-5. Matthew Stafford, I like the keeper. Dalvin Cook's always going to put up numbers. Darnell Mooney, I like what he did there. You're right, he has got lucky a lot this year, but I think the luck is going to continue against Canadian guy. I originally had Deuce Bombers to win, and I'm going to stick with the prediction. And a big reason why is, when I look at Canadian guy's roster, he's got Farrell Brown. This guy hasn't done much lately. Rodney Smith is in the lineup. I'm not sure what kind of impact he's going to have. The IDPs for Norm don't really thrill me all that much. For Norm, it really depends on Mahomes having a huge game. And I think Matthew Stafford can have a huge game in Seattle too, because Seattle's secondary sucks. And so I put their headline here, regular territory, because I do want to say it is regular territory for Deuce Bombers, 0.699 win percentage, but also can it be regular territory for Norman Canadian guy? Because I love the fact that he has been competitive this year. But I am going Deuce to go 5-0.
Yeah, the only way I can see Deuce Bombers winning this is if Mooney goes off again. 2 weeks ago, he scored 1.7 points. Last week, he put up 21.8 points. That's a 20-point difference, over a 20-point difference, 20.2.1 to be exact difference. And if he can do that every week, the Diami Brown, he scored 2 weeks ago negative points. Last week he scored positive points. His IDPs are going off. So if he can get lucky again, he can win, but it's all luck. His team could honestly be 0-4 without the luck. Next up, you have Bare Naked Ladies 3-1 versus the age group that's 2-2. Is this a test for both? And I think the answer is at least yes for Bare Naked Ladies. He's got some injuries going on, so can his death, make up for his injuries? And the answer is maybe. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a good game, and I think it is a test for both because I think both teams are really good. Bare Naked Ladies, here he is again being super competitive. I thought it was brilliant that he made the trade for Damian Williams. I know he kind of went off there at the end of last week, said I'm a full seller, kind of overblew it a bit because Montgomery wasn't seriously, well, it did look serious. I could see why he would overblow it a bit, but I think, getting Damian Williams just replaces that production. And I think that was a brilliant move, and it only cost him a 5th rounder. So I think a low cost price really to make that move. But I think Adrian really matches up well with Bare Naked Ladies for the simple fact that it looks like Malcolm Brown. You've said this from the beginning. He looks like he's getting more snaps in Miami. Kareem Hunt puts up points like RB1 points like Nick Chubb. That's how good Cleveland is. And then Hunter Renfrow, man, this guy has been an absolute beast, I feel. So it's going to be a challenge for Bare Naked Ladies. I originally had Bare Naked Ladies to win this one, and I am going to stick with it just because I don't think Jacoby Brissett's all that great. And I think the trade for Damian Williams is going to win it for him.
Yeah, honestly, I had Bare Naked Ladies already winning, and I'm going to be honest, this whole week I haven't really checked any fantasy football because I've been busy. So I'm going to stick with that, but, other points are valid. Renfrow is a beast. It's going to be a close one, but I'm going to have to go Bare Naked Ladies. Next up, we have Storm 4-0 versus the Architect 2-2. I originally had Storm going 5-0, and I hope she proves me right here. And doesn't matter who the cursed Architect has on his team, he's going to lose because Storm is just going to go 5-0 no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is the end for Storm, and I think the only undefeated team in the league after this week will be Deuce Bombers in the class of the American. But when I look at this challenge here, the reason why I see Krista losing and why I originally probably picked her to lose is Russell Wilson against the LA Rams. He's always sucked against the Rams, and the only reason I know this is because Brian's a diehard Seahawks fan. When is King Henry going to slow down? I don't think he's going to slow down in Jacksonville, though. So clearly he could win the game by himself. But the thing that the Architect has going for him is Saquon's looking healthier. He's definitely starting to have a bigger role there. Cooper Kupp was an outstanding trade. I'll give him that. Cooper Kupp's having one heck of a season for him. And stealing Noah Fant, I mean, that's the trade that put him over the edge. And, added 15 points to the team that wasn't there. And Noah Fant's going to have a huge role now in Denver now that all their wide receivers are hurt. So, I think all I want to say is for Brandon, great move making the trade. I'm just hopeful that guys like Robert and Templars do fall because you do know that nobody else would have made that trade. I'm going to stick with Brandon here to go for the W, and Chris is going to fall to 4-1.
Yeah, honestly, though, I don't think Noah Fant becomes that big of issue if Drew Lock starts as quarterback. I think if Drew Lock is the QB this week, Fant is, TD dependent because Drew Lock is a bomb and a half. Looking at the two running back rooms, CEH, he is playing Buffalo, so I don't think he's going to get all the points that he got last week against the Eagles. I mean, he had 102 yards, 12 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. I don't think he's going to get that this week. He should send me a thank you card for mentioning Jamal Williams in the mock draft because he was able to trade for him, and he's putting up 10 points for him each week. And, to get to 225 average, that's about 5 points averaging for each player. So he should definitely send me a thank you card there. But I think Storm Henry is going to run over Jacksonville. I think Peyton Barber, he is taking a back role, so he's not going to get points for her. But Najee Harris has been a beast the last 3 weeks. Let's be honest. And he is going to run the ball against Denver, even though Denver's defense is good. We're going to run it, and I think, that's going to be good. And then to me, it really comes down to Rondale Moore. What is he going to do? Is he going to be the one from 3 weeks ago, or is he going to be the bum from 2 weeks ago? And if Rondale Moore has a good game or a big game, Storm wins this easily. If she doesn't, it's going to be close. She currently doesn't have a tight end in her lineup, and her backup tight end is Folkston. He called it 2 touchdowns last 2 weeks, but it was one reception for each touchdown, so that doesn't really help. But it's going to be close. It's going to be fun to watch, and I am excited to watch this game.
Awesome.
And that is it.
So, you can stop it now if you want.